Every agent has 100 sales minimum.
Welcome to The Perfect Fit Presents. My GoPro podcast guest for this amazing session is Mr. Brad Korn, author of eMyth Real Estate Agent. Brad declares that every salesperson has 100 deals per year already waiting for them. Planet Korn is a unique place in the solar system where Brad has created the lifestyle of his dreams and is keen to help others create theirs. Here's Brad. Was making the cover for this podcast, and I went surfing through your Facebook, and I got actually pictures of Brad in his shorts at the Chiefs Stadium. That could show up somewhere. I don't know. Maybe.
It was only 10 degrees. So it's funny that you say that, because that was a playoff game to go to the Super Bowl. I was coming back from a trip where my wife had bought me this Hawaiian Chiefs shirt. We were in Mexico, and so while I'm flying home, this is a little bit of mindset coaching here. So while I'm flying home on the plane, I'm watching the movie Everest. And this is got some big actors in the movie I watched, and they climb Everest. And what I found interesting while I'm watching this, as the perspective I was watching it from, was these people go to Everest 3 months in advance. Like, they live in the mountains, in the snow and the blizzard storms, in a tent for 3 months to prepare. And I was just fascinated with it. So what ensued after that is we land, and here's a playoff game, and it's 10 degrees. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this mindset, because I was like, man, they got to be in such a mindset to go 3 months like that. It's like, I'm going to go to the football game in my Hawaiian shirt with some shorts. And so it was a mindset thing for me. And I made it the pregame, because we do tailgate. So we tailgated, and then I walked in the stadium, and then I made it through the first quarter. And I even thought it through. If you look real close, I've got some pretty heavy boots on, because I knew my feet needed to be warm. My head was not covered, but I knew that was going to be an issue. And my hands weren't covered, and I knew that was going to be an issue. And about the end of the first quarter, the tips got numb. So I made it through the first quarter.
Mind over matter. As long as you don't mind, it
It
doesn't
was
work.
literally, in my world, that's what I was doing. And everybody else's world, I appeared to be some crazy fool, 10 degrees, walking around in shorts and Hawaiian shirt. But I was like, the whole message was, come on, Patrick, bring home the heat.
Needed the heat for that one. Well, it was
Yeah.
fun. It's always fun to hear your anecdotes in the Achievers Breakfast Club and Clubhouse. And I think I want to start with my kickoff question today is you are the author of the Michael Gerber edition of eMyth, specifically targeted at real estate practitioners. What was the proudest moment for you of that whole experience from eMyth to the eMyth real estate?
It's the day the phone rang. And if you know Michael Gerber, you know that man's voice, right? And it was the day my phone rang and I picked it up, and it's Michael Gerber. And he's saying, hey, I heard your story, and I want to talk to you about, you're a student of my book. I'd like to write eMyth Real Estate Agent with you. That was probably the most craziest, surreal moment ever, because I've been working the eMyth book for 25 years at this point. So, and I'll give you a little backstory. Typically, or really what happened was, and what made me realize this even brought it all to be, was in 2015. In fact, it was March of 2015. My wife, my business partner of 20 years, was going to pick up a real estate client, to an elderly woman, to bring her to closing, because she didn't have any family around. And she got in a car accident on the way to pick her up. She survived the accident. It was a head-on collision. But after she got out of that, got some surgeries on her hip, she was on crutches for 12 weeks. Well, 2 weeks after she was back to normal, off crutches, plugging back into life, she just didn't wake up one day. She had trouble sleeping ever since the accident. So I was letting her sleep. I was keeping an eye on her and everything. But, this is 2 weeks. She's back to normal. She's going back around. We're plugging back in. Just bought 2 new cars. So we actually went to buy her a car to get her back on the road, and I ended up trading in my other one, and we got 2 Jeeps. So it was kind of a fun day. She's plugging back in. So she's back to normal. So you don't think anything's going on. But by 10:30, my daughter came in the room and said, Sonia's still sleeping. So I tried to wake her up and we didn't get a response. And that's when I called 911. So they got her all stabilized, but they lost her for about 4 minutes. Then they lost her in the ER for about 4 minutes. So by the time we figured all that out, they had to put her into a coma. That lasted for 5 months, and in that time frame, I'm trying to figure out how to get her out of this coma. I've known a lot of people with brain injuries that were in a coma, and they could come out of it in a month or 2 months or a year. But this was an anoxic brain injury, so when the brain doesn't have oxygen, it dies. So I took her to 3 hours away from Kansas City. I just started asking doctors, if your wife had a brain injury like this, where would you go? Where would you go? Where would you go? And everybody just kept saying the same place, Madonna, Madonna, Madonna. It's in Lincoln, Nebraska, and it's like 3 hours from Kansas City. So I said, we got to take her there. I mean, I got to do whatever I can do. So that became a 5 month stay in Lincoln. So bringing all this forward, what happened was my real estate business, and at that time I only had one assistant and one showing agent, buyer's agent, that had just come back to the team. She'd been out for about 7 years, went and had a bunch of babies, and then she came back to our team and she was just plugging back in. And then it was me and Sonia. So there were four of us on the team. Two of us are in Lincoln, Nebraska for the next 5 months. And that year, the systems that I had set up implementing the eMyth helped us sell 97 homes while I was gone. And it's this whole thing you hear, do you own a business, or are you an entrepreneur? What do you own? Right. And can you leave and it still grows and goes? So it wasn't growing, but it was going. And we sold 97 homes. So lost her in November of 15. We weren't going to get her back out of the coma. She was definitely, like, after we connected all the dots, she was not responding, not doing anything a second time. It was becoming clearer that she was literally going to be like that forever. So she wouldn't want to live that way. The children, all our girls, agreed that she wouldn't want to live that way. So there's another one. She's not on life support. It's not like just flip the switch and it's over. Her body is self-supporting, but she is a vegetable. So there's a tough life decision that I hope nobody listening here ever has to go through. So anyway, it's about, so that's November. So about January or February of 2016, I'm literally sitting on my desk just reflecting on some things, and I look up and I saw the eMyth book. I went, oh my gosh, that's what it is. It wasn't all the real estate books. It is a combination of everything, the real estate books and everything that I've implemented. But the core one was the eMyth that I read cover to cover more than a dozen times and implemented it. So I just looked up Gerber online, found a phone number, called and left a message. Mr. Gerber, you don't know me from Adam, but I wanted to thank you for writing your book. You gave me 5 months with my wife, who was in a coma, and I sold 97 homes. I didn't even once think about how my house payment was going to get made, all that stuff, right? So 3 hours away, I would come back one night a week and do my listing appointments. The girls would run the system and show houses. And so I just thanked him for that, and he called me back. So that was a pretty surreal moment right there.
Wow, that's there's everything but comedy in that story. It's amazing. It is an amazing life, and you are an amazing producer in the industry. On the perfect fit, would like to know. So you've got this system that runs based on the current level that it's at while you're gone for 5 months, and that's a miracle in itself. With 85% of the agents in real estate not able to renew their license once because they've been so unproductive. What's your favorite way to attract people or add people into your database?
Oh, no, that is such a great question. And let me tell you why. Because it's not going to be anything anyone's hoping I'm going to say right now. there, there's 100 ways to sell 100 homes, right? So you can get the social media plan, you can get the TV commercial plan, you can get the billboard plan, you can get the mailer plan, you can get all these plans. And guess what? I do all of them too. But the one way is when I understood that everyone, the average person moves every 5 to 7 years, and right, depending on the market, we could almost say sometime between 5 to 10 years everybody on average moves, right? So you're going to know somebody that's been in their house for 20 years. You're also going to know some people that have been in their house 1 and 2 years and they're moving, right? So
Mhm.
the average is 5 to 10 years. And honestly, Ed, the real one thing is, if everyone's moving sometime in the next 5 to 10 years, then my favorite best way to add people to my database is everybody I meet today. And let me pause there for a second, because I need to clarify something. So in real estate, what I know about real estate agents, because I coach a lot of them when they are struggling in their business, and we first of all, you start out in the hole in real estate. By the time you go to real estate school, pretty much anywhere around the country, it looks like it's 300, 400, $500. It's like, who can't scrape up $500 to go to real estate school to become a real estate agent to make $10,000 to $20,000 every time you sell a house, right? Well, then what
When you
happens
sell a
is,
house.
now, yeah, now you got to pay for the test. You might have to take that test 3 and 4 and 5 times. So now you're in it for another 500, right? Now, once you pass, what you don't know is now you got to pay these dues to the National Association of Realtors and all this stuff that you got to be a part of to solidify and credify you being a realtor, right? So there's another $300 to NAR. There's a $300 to my board. I need to buy some signs. I need to buy a lockbox. I need to buy a key so I can show. So you're in it $2,000 to $2,500, and you're starting out in the hole. Now, most business formats out there, if you're going to go to a real estate company where you can tell people you're a realtor, because in most states you have to put it with somebody, a broker, or you have to be your own business, right? So the problem is, and believe me, I'm telling you this because I want you to understand what's happening in your real estate business if you feel like you're working really hard and struggling. And that is, you start out $25, $2,500 or more in the hole, and then you go to a company who's got to take some portion of your commission when you sell a house to be at that company, to have a brick and mortar place, or to have a conference room, or to have a website to attract people, whatever it is that they're offering you as their value, right? And so they got to take a portion of your commission. And then you're spending money along the way in your daily business. So the unfortunately, the new realtor really needs to start out selling 5 houses in their first week, or they're going to be in the hole. And if it takes a month, 2 months, or 3 months to get your first sale, well, now you got 3 months worth of bills behind. You got your company's taken. Just say you're going to spend 50% of your commission no matter what to run a real estate business. If you are somebody who's keeping 80% or 90% of your commission, you're not running a business. You're just doing a hobby, and you did something once and you're not reinvesting it back into the business to get more sales. So you can get lucky on a first 5, 6, 7. I mean, my daughter got her real estate license, sold 4 houses in her first month, and then it was crickets, right? And those are the 4 people that drove her to go get her license, because they're like, hey, we're thinking about buying a house. Hey, we're thinking about buying a house. So she's like, I should get my real estate license. And within 30 days, she went back to being a bartender again, because there was no business. So the point that I'm getting here at is that it you have to grow your business, and getting out of the chute is all about connections. So during those first 3, 4 months, actually, the 3 or 4 months that you're thinking about getting into real estate till you go take the test, if you would just start writing notes to everybody you're meeting every single day, and just start connecting when you're not a realtor as a human being, because that is my formula. I Every single day in real estate, I go connect as a human being. It's not about real estate. But once you get into real estate, you're in this hole. So you feel like everybody you're looking for has to be somebody. I got to find the next person that's selling. I got to find the next person that's selling. So we're just throwing all these people over our shoulders that aren't moving right now, looking for that next person to move. All those people are moving. It just might be in a year. It might be 3 years from now. It might be 5 years from now. And what most real estate agents don't know is you're probably going to be in this for 3 to 5 years to figure out you didn't make it. So you might as well start grabbing all these people now, connect with them, put them in an organized database, and follow up with them. Stay in touch with every single person, because they're all moving. And what you have to do is doing spot calling, looking for the next piece of business. You're never going to hit the 1 or 2% that are moving right now today, the day they decided to move, the odds of you calling them on that day is slim to none. If you call a whole
as a
bunch of
lead generation tactic.
the
I'm
lead
just
generation packet, if I just
random.
stay in touch with everybody in my lead gen packet for the next 5 years, they'll call me when that day hits. I don't have to try and hit them on the day that they're moving. So
Amen. I love that.
unfortunately, yeah,
The
the
so
formula
the
is, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was going to share a little bit with the formula for the perfect fit is just right in line with where you are. We're going to, I believe that probably 2 in 10 of the humans I encounter, I can connect with, and they will only do business with me as long as I'm in real estate or whatever your profession may be. This is the GoPro podcast, right? Whenever you take it for a business and not a hobby, you're going to have some investment to get started. You're going to have some recurring expenses to keep the machine rolling and increasing in velocity. And so 2 in 10 will do business only with me when I find them. I'm not going to find them in my house, in my basement office. So find the people. About 50% of the people, 5 in 10, I might be able to connect with them, but they've already got Brad or Stephanie or Jessica or somebody that's already in their life and sphere, and they're going to do business with them because they're in their 20, not my 20. And then there's approximately 30% of the population that I'm going to classify as beyond human aid. They may never buy anything or sell anything or refer anything to you, and they're just going to, just keep doing whatever it is that keeps them unhappy, I guess. So finding the people is a matter of picking up rocks, having conversations, opening conversations up. Can I do business with this person in the future? Could they trust me and all that? Then we move into the actual connection part, which is being interested in what they're doing and where they're going and becoming. I believe the perfect fitting requires you to be a super connector of people, right? Not just a networker flinging business cards out. You're always on the move, always on the hunt for how can I help Brad solve the current problem he's got. It has nothing to do with real estate, right? And probably 80% of those solutions are who, not how. So it's not things I have to do. It's, hey, you should call Brad for that, right? See what he knows about that. He's already been down that road, or he's working on a project that might be interesting if you or whatever like that. So it actually costs nothing to be interested in a super connector with people. And then of course the follow up, and the follow up system is definitely the way to go. And I want to ask you right now, tell me a little bit more about the breadth of the eMyth real estate system that you developed, Brad, to keep your business going in your absence.
Yeah. So I mean, the E Myth. There's lots of things that Michael talks about, and in the original E Myth book, he's interviewing a lady that owns a pie shop, and he's just talking to her about this business. And like small businesses, exact same thing as a real estate agent. By the way, a real estate agent is a small business, right? So if you read the E Myth book, that's like step one. Before you even go to E Myth Real Estate Agent, read E Myth Revisited and listen to the story of this lady, how she was a great pie maker. So you are a great relationship person and you want to make money selling real estate. You could be a great house shower. You could be a great marketer that markets a listing. She was a great pie maker. And when he's interviewing her, she's to the point where her business has consumed her. She's going in at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning, baking all morning, getting the shelves stocked. She's there till 7 o'clock at night, balancing the books, got to clean the store up when it closes, and it just owns her and it's no longer fun. She was a great pie. She made an amazing pie that her mom showed her how to make, and her mom taught her, and her mom taught her. All she had to do was document exactly what she was doing, what she learned from her mother, her grandmother, her great grandmother, document how to make this pie great. It wasn't her that was making it great. It was just the pie that her mother and the everyone else showed her, right? Once she documented that, then she doesn't get owned by everything. And that could give her the leverage and systematize it where she could hire 5 or 10 people to make that exact same pie. And so that's kind of what I saw is I was hanging around the top producers in the industry. If I went to a conference and there was like three people up on stage talking about how they're successful in real estate, I would walk up and I'd get their names and numbers and I would call them after the conference, introduce myself. I would send them things, dropped them a handwritten note right after the conference going, thanks for sharing, love the idea about, whatever. So I could break in and not just be somebody sitting in the audience, but now these people, I mean, I'm talking 500 of the top agents, 1,000 of the top agents across the country, which is about all of them, right? I mean, if you think there's a million people and 10% of them are doing 90% of the business, I mean, this is a core group of people. I could show up in any of those towns today and they would invite me into their house to stay there if I needed to, right? Not that I can't go get a hotel, but I go stay at my friends' houses because it's that morning coffee conversation. It's that dinner conversation. I mean, I'm not intruding. I'm hanging out with my friend and we're networking. So what I did was I just looked at what all these people were doing. Now I'm going 30 years back because I'm a new guy. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm doing all this stuff and nothing's grabbing. I mean, it's just a very low return. I think I sold one house in my first year in real estate. I made $10,000 my first 2 or 3 years in real estate. I had two other jobs supporting my real estate habit. What I was doing was I was paying attention to how they made their pies. And I would bring those recipes back and I would apply them and I'd figure out how to make them work and I'd tweak them a little bit and make it work to get the result that I wanted. And those became my systems. So the eMyth real estate agent, what we do in the eMyth real estate agent book is we talk about all the different aspects that of a business that Michael covers in eMyth. We got money. So how did I run money? And when I say money, you'll have a lot of people who go, oh, you got to have a P&L. You got to track all this stuff. You know what I did? I set up two accounts. I have my capital account and my operating account, and they're two checking accounts that are free at my bank. And all I do is I direct every commission dollar into my capital account. And then twice a month on the 1st and the 15th, I know what my expenses are for the 1st through the 15th because there's a pile of bills sitting on my desk. Whatever I need to pay my bills, I pull that amount out of my capital account and put in my operating account. Now there's some money left here, I hope, and there's not at first, right? A lot of times your capital account doesn't fund what's happening here. And then on the 15th, I'll do another withdrawal. So I only withdraw out of my capital account twice a month. So for the first year, this is chaos because there's not enough money to support. I am out of business. I have no profit. But what it did was it made me aware of how much profit I needed to get. So in essence, just by setting up this money system to have a capital account and an operating account and only put in here what you need to operate with, that got me focused on money. And within a year, that started to accumulate and I would pay my bills and have some money left over. That's called profit. So that profit's there as a business owner for me to do whatever I want with. So now I had money to go on a trip or whatever it might be, right? Or maybe the conferences that I'm not going to because I don't have any money. I got to get an extra $2,000 in here this month so I can go to that conference next month. So it got me focused on my capital account. So that's one of the systems. Yeah, I just go through everything. The system for feeding the database every day, the system for creating the system to deliver unbelievable service. And what that looks like, Ed, when I list a house, everything that happens is in a system. This is the sign in the yard, is the lockbox in there, is the MLS completely filled out? Did we upload all the photos? Is every field filled in? 14 days after it's listed, a letter goes out to the seller and goes, all your marketing's in place. Now I say 14 days. It depends on what market we're in. Like some houses in some markets sell the minute they hit the market with multiple offers, right? So depending on what the market's doing and how we connect with somebody, we have connection points in there to say, hey, we've got everything under control. All the marketing's in place. One day after a house is listed, it says, send them a copy of what their house looks like on all the websites. So then we just go to Google, put in their address, and we find realtor.com and Zillow and our company sites, and it goes out to 300 and something websites. So I just send them a Google page that shows on the first page of Google their house is all the way down and all these places that we're marketing their house. So it's just like stuff like that that gives them confidence that they hired the right person. So the book just goes through that stuff. The people systems, right? With my team members, the system that I created to make sure they're feeding the database every day. Because if they don't put the 5 people that they connect with today, like you were talking about, Ed, if they don't put those people in, and it's not an on purpose plan, we are meeting people every single day that are going to move sometime between now and 10 years from now. And I just exerted some energy to connect with them, right? And I love what you said. 2 are going to do business with, out of 10 are going to do business with you, right? And that's what I find, about 10 to 20% of our database we are naturally going to stay connected with. But those other 5 of the 10, I'm going to challenge you right now, because I know from 30 years of experience, you can take that over. Now, unfortunately, Ed, if those 5 people know me, that's going to be tough. But if they know any other realtor on the planet, dude, you are going to get 3 or 4 out of those 5 over the next 5 to 10 years, because you're going to stay in touch with them better than the person that they naturally will stay in touch with. Because natural connection is just, we have a connection and we stay in touch, but they're not calling that person on purpose 4 times a year. They're not sending them things in between that make them look like the industry expert, and that they earn that trust and they earn that, wow, this is my go-to person. So I'm going to say 95 to 98% of the people out there will actually take over those 5 if they do this right. Right. So you can take that over, because naturally we're just keeping in touch with 10%. Oh, let me break these numbers down for you. So if you have 100 people and they're moving every 10 years, right? Then that means 10 people are moving this year, right? 10 people moving this year out of 100 people. I'd have to call all 100 people every single month to figure out which 10 are moving this year, because 10 divided by 12 is less than 1, which is why you're going to see everything you do in this industry is always, always, always going to be a 1 to 2, maybe a 3% return. If I blast out 100 connections today, I'm going to get 1 appointment, because only 1 of those 10 people know they're the ones that are moving this month. But
Right.
1 of those 10 people will know next month they're a mover. But if you don't call them again next month, and you don't call all 100 to figure out which one is next month and which one is the month after that, that's where even those natural connections, people move, and we do miss some of them. So
For sure.
that's
Well,
high. I mean, that's pretty deep, high level conversation. So when you think about real estate, you're running 2 types of businesses. One is your long term, forever, build the pipeline, stay in touch with business. And as soon as you do that a few times every single day, you add your new connections, write your note, and then stay in touch with them and set them up on a plan. Then you go back out and do your 100 things that are going to get you 100 deals, right? And do whatever you like to do. If you love to do open houses, if you love to do first time home buyer seminars, if you love to go knock on doors, doesn't matter what you do. You're not doing one over the other, because this one isn't going to get you any immediate business. In
sure.
fact, that 1%, it's going to take you probably 2 or 3 years before you're actually capturing 50% of all the people you've met for the last 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. And it's a little bit different than 30 years ago with the opportunities for many, many other distractions, right? You got you got your social presence that you have to work through, and
Yeah, the social
it's
presence is just another way to stay in front of them in between the personal connection. Personal
amen.
connection meaning you and I talking
Sure.
on the phone, right? You
Yeah.
and I talking on the phone, picking up each other, or if I'm coming through your area, I call you up and we go have lunch.
Mhm.
Those things. That's where the power happens. All that social media stuff, when you see the shorts, that is literally just so Ed doesn't forget. Like you've gotten a handwritten note from me, right?
I have.
Yeah,
I have.
we've talked on the phone, right?
We have.
Almost set up a lunch appointment, and only I didn't have to come to Arizona, right? So that's happening.
Or
And
Denver.
yeah, and then when Ed sees the shorts, he's like, there's that Brad guy. He's so fun. That's not going to get him to call me if he's thinking about buying or selling. It's when the
No, of
phone
course not.
call comes in, right? So
Of course not.
that's important that you said that, because
Yeah.
those are all touch and drip pieces. When people say, "Oh, people like to text message now," think about it, right? Nobody's text messaging to strengthen a relationship. We're
Mm-mm.
text messaging because we're all talking about one topic together.
Voice is
That's,
king.
yeah, exactly,
Voice
exactly.
is king, definitely. So the third tenet of the perfect fit theory is about finding those folks or being in front of those folks when it is time. So if your database gets big enough that you can't like call everybody, you have to have some other method of staying in front of them so that they will remember to call you when they need them. But as they approach the window of opportunity, uh, I liken it to you really have to synchronize your communications and become more interested in what they're actually doing now with regard to their real estate business, right? So it's kind of like it's the creation of a new child. There's a maternity period, and through the 9 month cycle, the labor pains will begin. They'll increase. They will reach maximum level, and then boom, you have a new human, right? It's the same thing with transactions and relationships. So we need to be in sync, and all of these different hundreds of people in my database are all running their own race. They're on their own program, and I just need to make sure I'm tapped in to what they're doing, some form or fashion. And that was the reason I was inspired to create my mobile app, my bottom of funnel mobile app. Expect my call. It's about putting touch points out in the future that have nothing to do with real estate or anything else. It's all of my personal commitments to myself, whether it's I need to be at the event for a child, whether it's a nonprofit board meeting or a lot of other things that are not naturally going to find their way into one of my three CRMs that are more top of funnel things where, bringing, dripping and loving on people while I'm not actually physically involved with that. But by the time it gets to the bottom, this is where the rubber meets the road, and I want to be in sync with them so that whenever the time comes to make that decision about that sale or that purchase, that I'm there. I want to ask you if there's a topic that you'd like to share with me right now that's burning in your soul.
So what I really want to share is just what you just shared, Ed. I want to confirm everything you just said and what that looks like in a system. So it is about being connected, the birthday parties, the social media. So here's what my connection looks like is I have a scheduled call 4 times a year for every person that goes in my database. And I want to break this down for you. So here's what it looks like is every 3 months, a phone call is going to pop up and say, it's time to call Ed, because that might be 3 months since I've talked to Ed. Actually, Ed and I may have talked even last month or a couple weeks ago. That was just natural. But this is just in case he pops up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have not talked to Ed in 3 months. That is going to be 80% of the people that are in your database that you're not connected with. It's those 8 out of the 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a call every 3 months, phone call. And then the in between that, so the month and a half in between the phone call is a social media touch slash text touch slash email, two-way conversation touch.
Mm-hmm.
And then believe me, everything else is automated, because anytime I've got these touches where I have to physically do something, eventually you won't be able to do it all. But let me tell you, I'm going to stop that myth right there. You're not going to get to that point, even with 4 phone calls and 4 social media touches. If you fed the database with 5 people a day, every day for the next 5 years, you can manage 4 calls a year for that many people. By the way, that's 6,000 people. 5 people a day, 5 days a week, 100 people a month, 1,200 people a year. And if I did that first year, I did it second year, I'm up to 2,400 people. I do it a third year, I'm up to 3,600 people. Your 4 calls a year will not ever surmount to more than maybe 10 or 15 calls a day, maybe at the most 20, but you're not really always making all of them. because if Ed and I talked last week and he shows up on a 3-month call, I already know I just talked to him. So I just get to mark it done.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing that with 20% of the people whose calls pop up because I stay in touch with them naturally, just like
Mm-hmm.
we said.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 of the people I'm pretty well connected with. So I know those names. And when I'm doing this every single day, every single year, those names start looking familiar because they're popping up in front of me all the time. So those 5 people that I connected well with that know somebody else, I don't have them tagged as, well, don't stay in touch with them because they know somebody else. I know them, we connected, and I'm going to call them. And the other 4 people, I may or may not get to them on the list for that one call, but I know they're going to pop up 4 times a year. So I'm at least going to call them once or twice. Now, if I go 5 years down the road and I've got 6,000 people that I'm staying in touch with, think about it. For 5 years, I've called them 4 times a year. I don't need to call them 4 times a year anymore. So for the next 5 years, I might only call them, they go on to a new follow-up plan. I only call them twice a year. And by now, with 6,000 people in my database who are moving every 10 years, that's 600 people moving, right? So if I'm capturing 300 of them, you probably have a team. So now the team's making 2 of those calls. So we can start transferring the relationship to eventually I can build an enterprise that I'm stepping out of. And then 10 year to 15 years, I'm calling people once a year, right? And when I retire from real estate 15 years from now, I'm sitting on a beach somewhere in a hammock and my team just sends me a list of people and I'm just calling the people I want to call because I've been in touch with them for 15 years. There's nobody else they're going to. It's a fun plan, but if you don't start it now, like right now, 23 is going to be, this is in 2023 when we're filming this, but it doesn't even matter what year it is. If you don't start it now, then you're always going to be dependent on trying to figure out how to get the next deal to make it through whatever market you're in. When you do this, the pipeline of business is just, when you said they'll call you, like you got to get in front of them when they're ready to move.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get in front of anybody. I don't have to call out to find business. I've been in touch with people so well. Just got a call yesterday. My sister's in a house. She was taking care of a guy. He passed away. He willed the house to her. It's already in her name. Family's coming around and they're giving her a hard time. I told her she needs to sell the house. What should we do? Guess where I went yesterday within 1 hour of that phone call? I said, I'll put together some numbers and I'll meet you over there. Click.
Right.
And I ran the numbers and I'm at a listing appointment 1 hour later because she called me to figure out, what are we supposed to do?
Right.
Well, if you're going to sell it, here's what you need to do. Right. So there's no way I would have called her sister because her sister's not even in my database. She's in my database and I talk to her regularly. So she knows to call Brad. Right. And I'll give you even, I just want to hit this. She was assigned to somebody that was on my team that's no longer with me. So my original relationship wasn't with her, but because my system is set up the way it is, and my team member didn't follow through with the system, he didn't stay in touch, he didn't call her, he didn't do the things he was supposed to do. My system made sure I layered in there. She didn't call him. He's no longer with me, but she didn't track him down. She called me.
Right.
Because the relationship is with me and I'm the only one that stayed in touch with her. I've talked to her. We met her a year ago. I've probably talked to her 8 times in the last year. She calls me for other stuff. She's like, oh man, you're like a business guy. I want to do t-shirts. What should I do? So,
Right.
I mean, right. And that resulted in a listing appointment yesterday from somebody that I would have never gotten, probably wouldn't have hit the internet website. She wouldn't have gone to my website and filled out my form for me
No,
to get the listing.
she would have stumbled into somebody, and
That house is going to be on the market in 2 days.
Right on.
So, yeah.
I love it when a plan comes together. So
Yeah.
we are going. We're probably going from 1,600,000 realtors last year to, I don't know, maybe 25 or 30% less this year because of economic conditions and folks operating, as you say, without systems, without intention of making a business out of it. I want to be part of the solution, as I know you do. So I want to throw up onto our screen right now your emythrealestateagent.com. If you're not in real estate, if you're a insurance or other industry, mortgage folks, you may or may not be interested actually in the real estate agent version of eMyth, but I'm sure Brad would love to talk to you anyway because he's that kind of a helpful
Oh,
person.
yeah. You just take the word real estate agent out and add in insurance guy. That's the way I
Yeah,
wrote the book. It would
yeah.
work in any industry.
Plug into Brad. You can find him on Clubhouse most mornings, and he's not a secret agent. Get in touch with Brad. Get in touch with me. Would love to help.
And I'll
And
tell you something about that site
okay,
is that site takes you to a free resource site where I go into I've recorded these type of interviews and webinars where I go into detail and everything. So it's a free resource site. When you fill out that form, when you go to eMyth Real Estate Agent, you're connecting with me. So I can see that you saw this and you filled out the form. So now guess what? You get to experience my system. That's the only way I can stay in touch with you. You can go to Amazon and buy the book. I'm not
right.
making money on the book. But if you go there and get the book, you're going to get it from me directly, and you're going to experience the drip plan, and we're going to connect, and I'm going to be there for you. Otherwise, what I do is I wait for people to seek me out. If they want it bad enough, they're going to find me. You can't not find me on Google, right? And I'm not a basketball coach, by the way. There's another Brad Korn that's a very famous basketball coach.
Yeah, we need to work on your SEO because I found him right away when I was looking for pictures for the podcast cover. Well, Brad, thanks very much for carving out some time for me this morning. I know it's getting into the valuable time of your day and your schedule and your eMyth systems, and I really do appreciate having you share your knowledge and inspiration. And hopefully some folks will go pro because they watched us and listened to you.
My life mission is that every single agent can sell 100 homes a year. And I'm going to say it this way. You're not getting a system that sells 100 homes a year. You already have the 100 homes a year. I'm just going to show you that you don't even know they're sitting there, how to get them, right? So that every agent has 100 sales minimum every year right now. I don't care if you started yesterday or you've been in business 30 years, there's 100 sales happening a year that you are not getting right now.
That you could, that are yours. They're just waiting for you.
They're already yours. Yeah. They're just moving. Blast out a mailing to everybody you know and watch how many yellow stickers of death come back, right? They moved without you. So they're moving. 100 of them are moving every year. Yeah.
So also one final note. I know that you are single-handedly keeping the post office employed in Kansas City, and I appreciate your notes.
I buy 5 rolls of stamps. Whenever I run out of the 5th roll disappears, I go buy 5 more rolls. I'd rather put my money there than in anything else.
Right on.
Great fun hanging out with you, and kudos to you for bringing messages out to help the real estate agents as well. So, and I love the whole app thing is genius.
What other topics? Cool. What other topics can we get into and drop a pearl or two?
Yeah, I'd probably say living the perfect life. How do they get from where they are right now to where they're not worried about bills and all that stuff to where they're actually living in a dream house, living a dream life, and that may sometimes mean a charity or they volunteer or, one of the girls at my office she was the #1 individual agent last year, beat me out by like 70 sales. She was like 50 sales ahead of everybody else. I was like #7 out of 600 people, which blows me away to this day because I feel like I'm goofing off all the time. So that's probably the after party it's like living life and staying in touch with being focused on relationships allows me to just go live life, show up at a football game in shorts. I go to all the football games. I do the tailgate. I do parties with my friends. In the summertime, we're on the lake a lot. Yet the systems are keeping the business running, and it's telling me what I have to do between now and before the sun's up to keep my connections going, to do all that stuff so I can just go play the rest of the day, right? So, and this may even be the clip right here. The whole point is that tells me what to do in the morning. I could be done with all that stuff by 10 or 11. And honestly, living the perfect life means that I don't have to work until 4 o'clock and be on the phone for 4 hours from noon till 4 to try and find the next appointment to stay alive. I just get to go do whatever, right? When I take my dog to the groomer here in a little bit, I'm going to talk to some people that they're going to sell their house with me. And there might be somebody else in there that I'm going to talk to, and he's an accountant. And I'm going to be like, oh, man, I'd love to meet you and find out more about your business. And then I'm going to go have lunch, and then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to bump into people throughout the day. So I just go ride the tornado. And to get real,
embrace,
I could have
embrace the chaos is what
embrace the chaos. And that's what I was going to say. In reality, I could have a deal that's got an inspection result that came back with $30,000 worth of stuff that I might have to spend the next hour coordinating a roofer, coordinating an electrician, see how fast we can get the plumber out there so we could get an estimate to figure out if we can keep this deal together. And that's going to take an hour out of my day. That's the chaos. And because there's organized system in the beginning, which is just my organized system is my follow-up with my database. I mean, it is feeding in the people that I met yesterday or getting in there, make sure they're on a plan, make sure I get my note in the mail. And then just all my current stuff, like if it's, 2 days before closing, on my task list is, did you go over the net sheet with the seller to make sure they know what they're netting in 2 days, right? And so that's my task list. So I knock all that stuff out. And then really, I mean, most of the day, I say I'm goofing off, but I've done all my important stuff. I've done my 20%, and now I get to go play in the 80% because my 20%, I got 20% of it done. 20% of what you do generates 80% of your results, right? And 80% of what you do generates 20%. So most people do their 20%, 2% or 1% of their day. And then they do the 80%, 99% of the day, right?
Distraction.
So I do my 20% at 20%. I could even say, this is new to me, I do my 20% 100%. And then I do my 80% probably 50%. Does that make sense?
It does. So, it's life on planet Korn is a good place. I love it.
It's fun.
I love it. All right, man. Well,
so I don't know. Is that a good? Would that?
That's a great after. That's a great after party.
Cool.
That's a great after party. So, thanks again for your time and your help, and let's get some agents plugged in. We still need to talk about how we can get some folks up to speed on a plan.
I'm rolling that out. I have an entire course. I have 16 hours to walk people through this core stuff that we just talked about. I'm getting it on a platform now, so it's available for everybody to plug into. That's what I've been working on the last week.
Thanks for listening today. Expect excellence from yourself and stay in touch with your sphere. Hit expectmycall.info for more information on the Expect My Call mobile app and grab a copy of the Perfect Fit ebook. I'm Ed Hooks Jr. If you're a real estate agent who wants more from your business, we invite you to partner with us and implement proven production strategies with the support of real estate industry titans.